what I wanted to add here is that if we speak about the sustainable financing in Latvia, there are two things which we have to take into consideration. So one thing is that whether we have some sustainable financing instruments available on the market, namely whether government or banks or funds or some other institutions are providing financing for these purposes. And another thing, which is equally important, is the ability of our society and of our business to take these financial instruments, to apply for them, and to provide that they are compliant, that they will take these resources, they will use them for the purpose, and they will be able to return them when time comes. So if we speak about the first part of all of these issues, I would say that our government has made some very small progress on this. I cannot say that we haven't done anything, but at the same time, I would openly say and honestly say that much more could have been done, but so far. What we see here is that there are some financing programs available for those who want to improve energy efficiency of their houses. There are some financing programs available to companies which want to improve their energy efficiency of their production lines or production process and so far. There are a couple of commercial banks which are very active in the, and especially over the last year, they have become very, very active in this field of green financing. They are looking for possibilities how to finance, for instance, change of the cars owned by some companies, how to finance some other improvements in the companies which would lead to more energy efficiency, to the reduction of carbon emissions, to the improvement of some other processes so that we were compliant and made less impact on the environment. They're really active in thinking of potential financial instruments and trying to put them on the market. But what they face is the reality of our businesses and of our individuals actually to take these financial instruments. And if you look at the at the statistical data which were published actually just a couple of days ago, so they're very up to date. At least 1/2 of each inhabitant here in Latvia has some loan from credit institution or from some fund or some other institution. If you look at this portfolio of all credits, then the total sum of them is approximately 13,000 million. And total debt is 1.4 billion euros at the moment. So this is the sum which our individuals are currently owing. By this I mean they are not paying in time. They're owing it to the banks or to some other institutions where they have borrowed. If we look at those who are in debt, in most cases, these are economically active people, aged from 30 years up to 50 years. So most probably they have some work, most probably they have some family, and they have some house to take care for, and they have most probably children to take care for. So at least 35% of all of the borrowers are currently ranked officially with the two lowest credit rating rates available here in Latvia. So it's either Class A or Class D. And in practice, it means that in case any financial institution gave any money to them, they would immediately know that there is a very little chance to get this money back. And only 29% out of all of these borrowers are ranked with the Class A, which means that financial institutions would be willing to give financing to them and would feel themselves quite comfortable that this money will be returned. And there is another statistic. Statistic is that approximately half of all inhabitants here in Latvia are in practice doing something else in addition to their normal, regular work to get some additional income for their household, for their family. And the other half has openly responded that most probably they would be willing to get some additional financing for their or some additional income, but they haven't done anything actually to take the initiative to make this first step, to take the responsibility for their family income and to go forward and to attract some additional income. So the reason why I was actually going through these statistics and giving all of this information was simply to show you what is the status currently we are living in, and that we can think of as many financial instruments as we want to. But what we first have to make sure is that there are companies, on average, at the sufficient number, which can actually borrow this money, and there are individuals which are actually able to borrow this money. So also, this statistic very clearly demonstrates the problem which we have here in Latvia is that we have very tiny level of middle class. And if we had a very large one, if middle class was something which most of us here in Latvia could associate ourselves with, then this would be a completely different picture. But in our case, middle class is so tiny that it simply cannot actually serve as the pillow which is necessary actually to go forward with these financial instruments, with these goals, and with these transformations we are actually facing at the moment. So here, I would say that I completely agree with Jānis in saying that what we have to reformulate what good life is. But at the same time, we have to make sure that even if we reformulate what the good life is, that at least most of us can afford it. And at that moment where we can afford good life, when it is redefined, we have quite a substantive mass of businesses and individuals being able to borrow money, to invest, to go forward, to improve their situation, and so on.